10-ounce to 8-ounce gloves. Will this have a meaningful impact in this boxing fight?
I think it will, and I think it already has done. I mean, certainly on the betting lines. It made a shift in the betting lines. More people are favouring Conor McGregor now with the smaller gloves, which makes sense. Obviously, the smaller the gloves get, the better Conor's chances get, in my opinion. The main things that we have to focus on it with the glove size is that obviously it's only 2 ounces, and you think 2 ounces is nothing. But if you transfer that into padding, that's a lot of padding, 2 ounces. So you have to distribute that around the gloves. Now, that's not necessarily going to make a great deal with the punching power, but what it does change is the way that the gloves work as a shield for Floyd Mayweather. I think it's a ploy to try and draw Conor out and try and make him start fast and try and get the finish, because then that gives Floyd the opportunity to read him and to download those movement patterns and then start picking him off.
Floyd Mayweather, 40-year-old, Conor McGregor, 29-year-old. Mayweather's, putting on social media, he's hanging out in strip clubs and he's eating Whopper meals from Burger King. And what is that? I mean, are we going to see him in peak, absolute best condition? He's been a career athlete, or is he just taking it easy, taking it light, putting his foot off the gas and just kind of eating fast food just days before, the fight of his life?
Well, this is the interesting one with Floyd Mayweather, because he's a marketing genius, and we always know that he likes to bet on himself, so it wouldn't surprise me that he's doing these things to influence the betting odds in Conor McGregor's favour, to give the impression that he's not showing up with the intention of actually giving it his all. Now, the one thing that stood out to me at the press conference is that his voice sounded a little scratchy, he sounded a little tired. So if he's been hanging out at the strip club and eating at Burger King, then maybe that's had an effect on his health and he might not be in the best condition right now. The thing that we can't avoid, though, is the fact that he is 40 years old, and there's always a drop-off, no matter who you are. Nobody's Superman. And in these kind of fights, this kind of high profile, fighters can age between rounds.
Ring rust, is it a real thing? Now, Mayweather hasn't boxed in a couple of years. We know McGregor notoriously fights very, very often. Will that play into his favour here?
Quite possibly, but the thing is with Floyd, although we see him as a very active fighter because he's very present in the media, he does take big gaps in his fights, in between his fights, a year, sometimes 18 months between fights. But he's active all the time, he's always present in the gym, his mind is on nothing but boxing. So I don't think he's going to really lose a step because he's not competing. I think the only way he loses a step is because of his age.
Mayweather has had a few problems with southpaws. Obviously, McGregor's got that dynamite left hand. How much of a threat is that going to be to Mayweather in this fight?
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about the southpaw thing and a preference towards orthodox fighters, which, I mean, if you look at his record, out of 49 fights, he's fought 7 southpaws. And some of those southpaws have caused him problems. Zab Judah in particular, when he was in the early rounds, when his speed was there, he was able to cause Floyd problems. But when he started to drop off, that's when Floyd finds his way in. But if you watch all of Floyd's fights, there's a period of adjustment with southpaws. He has to change a few things. We know the shoulder roll defense that he uses doesn't work very well against southpaws because you create a pocket for that left hand.
What's the best case you can make to convince people that this will be a competitive fight from McGregor's point of view?
Well, if you're fighting Floyd Mayweather, he's fought 47 guys over 49 contests, and every single one of those guys was a boxer. And boxing hasn't worked against Floyd Mayweather. Boxing is very much set in its ways, and the predictability of a boxer's approach is what Floyd thrives upon. So for Conor to move like a boxer would be foolish. For him to fight Floyd Mayweather as a boxer would be foolish. But for him to fight Floyd Mayweather as a combat athlete, as a martial artist, that changes the landscape entirely, and that's what is raising all these questions. But the wide stance, the switching stance, the long reaching punches covering distance, standing outside a punching range, all of these things that are very natural to Conor are very unusual for Floyd to face.